Hi, and welcome to my very first tutorial via video. I'm very excited about that. This is Deborah Chetwood, and I'm the Texas photographer. And I wanted to take the time to go through a lot of these, the idea of a template. And there's lots of great ones that you can purchase out there, absolutely. And if that is your comfort zone, definitely go for it. But I want to show you that it is a possibility to do within Photoshop, and that's the tool that I like to use. I know that you can also do it in Elements as well, but I don't have that software, so I can't step you through that one. This is established at 900 pixel in width, and the reason I chose that particular increment is because my blog is like a 960 width, recommended no larger than 960. So most of the time, if I'm doing a template to put on my blog, I will utilize 900 and below. Now, I don't usually do a background on my template, but I wanted to go through this and show you that there's a lot of possibilities when you're creating one. I created this one in about 5 minutes, and I'd like to step you through it. The first thing that we would do, I'm going to close these off, is the very first thing is establish your image size. When you go into new, like I said, mine was 900 pixels, 600 pixels in height, and I go ahead and do a 72 resolution because this is for web. If you're considering a template for print, I would definitely do a 300 resolution and the measurements that you need for your print. But other than that, it's kind of the basic setup of what we're doing here. Now, once I create it, you're going to have a blank screen. The first thing I do, and I highly recommend, and what I do in my Tipsy Tuesday tutorials, is I'm always talking about these buttons at the bottom. This one down here that looks like a half moon has so many wonderful things, and I want you to explore those. But the very first one that I did was I selected solid color. I recommend doing it this way versus taking a paint bucket over here and filling it in. You're just adding pixels. This way you can utilize, you can select your color, and it fills it in. You'll see the mask sitting over here. So even if I wanted to, let's say, I'm going to select B for a brush. Let's say I didn't want it in all the places. Well, I can use my B for brush, which, by the way, if you'll notice, my level here is not 100%, but we'll bump it up. Let's say I didn't want it to fill the whole thing. I have that flexibility with a mask, and can select what I want. However, we do want it to fill the full realm, so I just did the X on my keyboard to switch my color chips to white and going back in and painting over that black. Easy peasy. So now you'll see it's completely white. But let's say, Deborah doesn't want that color. We want a different color. I just clicked right here, pulls up my color wheel. I'm going to save this one because I do in fact want that color. And I can pick anything from the rainbow. Let's say that's actually a pretty color. We can use that. So another thing I did, just laid it in there, is a pattern. And I'm going to show you again. That step comes right down here. See the pattern? You'll click that and you'll select your patterns in your field. This one wasn't a pre-made pattern. I made it. It's part of my branding. And again, you'll see the mask here. You can mask off part of it like I showed you on the other one. I'm going to show you real quick how easy it is to, in fact, make your own customized branding patterns. First thing you do is pull up your image of what you're utilizing. I had created this one a while back, and then I'm just going to go in and select the whole thing. See the dancing ants, and then I'm going to go into Edit, Define Pattern. When that comes up, you can name it what you want and select OK. When you do that, you will be able to go into the pattern, the one that you selected, and that's the one I have here. Now this is the reason I really love doing it that way instead of overlaying it by itself. It gives you the flexibility to enlarge your patterns or decrease your patterns. Let's say I wanted a little, more detail going on and busier in the background. Or I want it just a little larger. I can select that and then say OK. If I'm still playing with it later on, I think, you know what, the pattern looks like it needs to be larger. It's a simple click here, going back to scaling. The next thing I have in here, we'll get back to that. The next step is to create shapes. You'll see shape 1 here, shape 1 copy 2 here. I created the shape of the size I want and established the layout. Once I was happy with it, I then right-clicked over it, did a duplicate layer, and said OK. When I did, it established it here, and I moved it around. Once I'm happy with where that placement was, it was pretty easy to select the other one and do a Control-T on my keyboard. That brings up Free Transform. When I do that, if I don't want to move it up and down away from the other one, I don't use my mouse. I always use the keyboard, and I always use the arrows to move it slowly over to where I want it to be placed. When I'm happy with where it's placed, you can just push the enter on the keyboard, or you can come up here and hit the check mark. Either way gets the job done. The other set I want to show you is I thought you can also add different frames to it if you really want it to pop. So I established the frame, and let's say I did the frame and my mask wasn't aligning to it. Well, it would be a simple matter of doing a Control-T once I got the frame position where I want, and moving my shape to fit within. When I was happy, I would push enter or the check mark that was up there, and it would be set. Now the next step is a simple matter of adding another layer right before it, and you'll see that it's positioned over here to the left. When I did that, all I do is go up here to File, Place. When I have my file place, I then go find the particular file that I'm looking for. And in this one, I know it's over here in this particular folder. Now, I personally would recommend that you consider your watermark placement on these. Do you really need to watermark them exactly on the picture itself, especially if you're doing a template? It's totally up to you. I didn't really need it, but this is an easy, example, and I don't see the point in going and finding the original ones to do that. But let me explain what I just did while I was talking about that. So once I fished place, you'll see the big X mark over this file. It's kind of like a free transform. You'll see that I've positioned my arrow key here, and it does a dual. Very, very important when you're looking to scale it to hold down the shift key on your keyboard. It keeps the ratio in check, so it doesn't give you some strange thing. I will look for the border, and I'll push it just past that. When I'm happy with it there, I'll go ahead and put my check mark. When I'm satisfied, you'll see that it's still outside that border. This is where the clipping mask comes into play. So it's positioned right over that shape, and I'm going to tell Photoshop in one click, I want you to push this through that shape. Let's see how easy it is. Holding down my Alt key, I then have this weird little shape that comes up between the lines. When I keep that down and click the button on my mouse, the left button, boom, it goes through, it's pushed through the shape, and the rest of it that's on the outside is hidden. And you'll see I've already done that on this one as well. And I have the frame established too. And then just for kickers, I want to show you, you can place things everywhere. In fact, not that I would do this, but since I have this file in there, I'm going to show you the flexibility of it all. I could theoretically take this new picture that I have, let me enlarge it, and do Control-T, and let's just move it over here. Let's say for one strange reason I want to take this picture of her and, now that I have it large enough, and push it through my text. How about that? It's masking it, it's telling it to push it through the text, and it most definitely did. If I wanted to include it into my other part, I would actually need to merge my text with the shape to then merge them together and clip them together. But like I said, it's not something I would particularly want to do, but I want to show you the power of a clipping mask. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions whatsoever, please leave a comment on my blog and I will respond to it. And like I said, it's really about your creativity and what you think you want to do, but you can always put in patterns. You can actually take the patterns and clip them into your shapes. There are so many possibilities, so my suggestion is get out there and play with it and see what you can do. Until next time, this is Deborah Chetwood with The Texas Photographer.